November 1938. There were 23 titles on the newsstands, and this was tied for the highest number ever in comics up to this point. This month begins with a mystery comic. Little Giant Detective Funnies number 2 from Centaur Publications should have come out this month, but no copy has been verified to exist of issues 2 or 3, making it seem likely that these copies were never distributed or sold. But what is odd is that if the series had continued monthly, then there would have been a number 4 with a cover date of January 1939, and there is a confirmed number 4 of this series. So it appears that only number 1 and number 4 hit the newsstands perfectly 3 months apart. Jumbo Comics number 3, November 1938, published by Fiction House Comics. This is a black and white oversized book with large dimensions of 10.5 by 14.5 inches. This is the third comic book work ever for Jack Kirby. Plus, this title continued to have the most impressive lineup of writers and artists breaking into comics at the time. Will Eisner, Lou Fine, Bob Kane, Mort Meskin, Dick Briefer, Bernard Bailey, and Jerry Iger all work on this issue. Joe Penner is featured on the cover, drawn by Will Eisner, based on the RKO campus comedy movie Mr. Doodle Kicks Off. Also seen on the cover is Sheena, ZX5, The Count of Monte Cristo, Pee-wee, The Hawk, Bobby, and Uncle Otto, and it's a football cover. Peter Pup is a 4-page story written and drawn by Bob Kane, reprinted from the Wags, the UK edition from Editor's Press Service, issue number 32 from August 1937. Bobby appears in a 2-page story written and drawn by Jerry Iger, also reprinted from Wags, UK edition from Editor's Press Service. Hawks of the Seas is a 4-page story written and drawn by Will Eisner under the alias Willis Renzi, and this is reprinted from Wags, the UK edition, number 66 and 68. Heroes of Sport is a 1-page story drawn by Will Eisner under the alias Irwin, and features 4 panels of a sports strip from Universal Phoenix Syndicate from 1937. Uncle Otto is a 1-page story written and drawn by Will Eisner under the alias Carl Heck. Pee-wee is a 1-page story written and drawn by Jerry Iger, and it features 4 Universal Phoenix feature strips. Gilda Gay is a 1-page story, possibly written by Bernard Bailey, but definitely drawn and signed by Bernard Bailey. And this reprints from the Universal Phoenix feature syndicate strips. Jest Laughs is a 1-page story written and drawn by Bob Kane from the Universal Phoenix features. Hunchback of Notre Dame is a 4-page story drawn by Dick Briefer and reprinted from Wags, the UK edition, issues 27, 28, and 30. Sheena makes her third American comic book appearance in a 4-page story drawn by Mort Meskin, reprinted from Wags, UK, number 65. Inspector Dayton is a 4-page story, possibly written by Jerry Iger and possibly drawn by Will Eisner under the alias of George Thatcher. This is signed the Eisner and Iger Shop and is reprinted from Wags UK number 64. The Diary of Dr. Hayward is a 4-page story drawn by Jack Kirby under the alias Kurt Davis, reprinted from Wags UK number 72. The Count of Monte Cristo is a 4-page story drawn by Lou Fine under the alias of Jack Cortez, reprinted from Wags number 72. Just for Fun is a 1-page cartoon written and drawn by Bob Kane from the Universal Phoenix Syndicate. Ken Hammond is a 2-page text story drawn by Lou Fine, and it features the first appearance and origin of Ken Hammond. ZX5 Spies in Action is a 4-page story, possibly written and drawn by Will Eisner under the alias Major Thorpe. It's from the Eisner Iger Shop and is reprinted from Wags UK number 58. And Wilton of the West is a 4-page story drawn by Jack Kirby in this Western Frontier title, which features the villain, the Hooded Archer. Amazing Mystery Funnies, number 3, November 1938, published by Centaur Publications. Bill Everett is the cover artist of this early Golden Age comic. There's a mile-high pedigree copy of this book from the Edgar Church collection. Skyrocket Steel is featured on the cover, along with the character Sari Marston in the sci-fi cover by Bill Everett. And Bill Everett also drew the 4-page Skyrocket Steel science fiction strip in this issue. which features the villain Vance Roy and the first appearance of the villain, the Invisible Man. Dirk the Demon, 24th Century Archaeologist, is a 3-page story drawn by Bill Everett and possibly written by him as well in this adventure strip featuring the first appearance of Dirk the Demon, who is Dirk K., and his father, Baron K. 2038 AD is a 2-page comic story written and drawn by A.S. Van Erd in a humor science fiction title that looks at Earth tourists visiting Mars. Tracks in the Snow is a 7-page story drawn by Howard Hastings in this adventure tale, which is reprinted from Western Picture Stories #1 from Comics Magazine Company from 1937. Wild Tex Martin is 7 pages written and drawn by Will Eisner and also reprinted from Western Picture Stories #3 from Comics Magazine Company 1937. Action Comics #6, November 1938, published by DC Comics. One of Overstreet Price Guide's top 50 most valuable comics of all time. This comic features the 6th appearance of Superman. There is a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this book and a Rockford pedigree copy of this book. This issue features the debut of an unnamed office boy who, according to Overstreet, would later be identified as Jimmy Olsen, who would later star in his own comic series for 20 years. The on-sale date of this issue was September 26, 1938. This is DC's first ever gorilla cover, a theme that the publisher would return to many times. The cover is by Leo E. O'Mealia. Features gorillas in the jungle and cameras. The Superman comic strip is 12 pages long by the team of Siegel and Schuster. The lettering is by Paul Loretta. This story features Superman, Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, unnamed, Nick Williams is the villain in first appearance, Lois Lane, and unnamed George Taylor. Clark Kent is introduced to a fighter manager who claims to be Superman's personal manager, but when Lois discovers the existence of a phony Superman who is tied to that manager, the real Superman must act quickly to save Lois's life. This story would be reprinted in Superman #3, Winter 1940. Here's what we learn in this particular story about the Superman mythology. At this point, newspapers headline his activities with ever-increasing regularity. This story is interesting as it's about a man who claims to have commercial legal rights to the Superman name. The phony Superman's personal manager uses this name and likeness to advertise cars and gasoline. He tells Clark Kent that he has licensed Superman bathing suits, movie rights, and he will appear in comic books. Jimmy Olsen, unnamed, listens in on the conversation. Jimmy Olsen looks to be about 13 years old, young, clean-cut, and blonde. Lois and Clark go to a dance at night, and the female singer performs the song, "You're a Superman." Lois sneaks off to meet the fake Superman and his manager, only to prove they are frauds. They decide to kill Lois by throwing her out the window, but Superman catches her and catches the thieves. Also in this issue, Pet Morgan is a 4-page story written by Gardner Fox with art by Fred Guardineer under the alias Gene Baxter. Tex Thompson is a 10-page story, possibly written by Ken Fitch, with art by Bernard Bailey. Chuckles is a 1-page cartoon written and drawn by Paul Gustafson. Odds and Ends is a short cartoon drawn by Sheldon Moldoff with a sports theme. Scoop Scanlon, 5-star reporter, is a 6-page story drawn by Will Eli featuring Scoop Scanlon and the villain Gentleman Jack. Zaytera, Master Magician, is a lengthy 12-page story from writer-artist Fred Guardineer featuring the characters Zaytera and Tong, and this is the 6th appearance of Zaytera. Crackerjack Funnies #6, November 1938, published by Dell Comics. It had an on-sale date of October 7th, 1938. There is a Dell file copy of this book and a Mile High copy pedigree from the Edgar Church collection. This could be the first regular monthly comic book artwork published by Al McWilliams. After it appears, he made his comic book debut in the Crackerjack Funnies giveaway from Ultem in 1937. Crackerjack Funnies #6, November 1938, published by Dell Comics. It had an on-sale date of October 7th, 1938. This could be the first regular monthly comic book artwork published by Al McWilliams. After it appears, he made his comic book debut in the Crackerjack Funnies giveaway from Maltomil in 1937. There is a Dell file copy of this book and a Mile High pedigree copy of this book from the Edgar Church collection. The cover features children playing football, and the art is possibly by Win Smith. There's a 5-page Dan Dunn story written and drawn by Norman Marsh. Captain Frank Hawk's Air Ace is a 4-page story with art by Alden McWilliams. Don Winslow is 4 pages from writer Lieutenant Frank Martinek and art by Leon Baroth in their war adventure tale. Tom Mix is a 4-page Western Frontier story drawn and written by Al Lewin. And Tom Trailer G-Man X32 is a 4-page story drawn by James Gary. Super Comics number 7, November 1938, published by Dell Comics. Dick Tracy, Terry and the Pirates, Little Orphan Annie are among the many features. This issue is rated scarce by Gerber. Smokey Stover is featured on the cover. Dick Tracy appears in 4 pages from writer-artist Chester Gould. Copyright 1937, The Chicago Tribune, New York News Syndicate. Little Orphan Annie in 4 pages from writer-artist Harold Gray. And Terry and the Pirates in 5 pages from writer-artist Milton Caniff. Comics on Parade, number 8, November 1938, published by United Features Syndicate. Little Abner is featured on the cover. Tarzan, Abby and Slats, Captain and the Kids, Ella Cinders, Bronco Bill, and many others appear in this issue. Keen Detective Funnies, number 10, November 1938, published by Centaur Publications. The majority of this issue is reprinted from Detective Picture Stories, issues 3 and 4 from 1937 from the Comics Magazine Company. There is a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this issue. Doc Doyle is featured on the cover with art by Maurice Gutworth in this detective mystery. Telltale Smoke is a 2-page text story written by Pat Allen with art by Bill Everett. This would later go on to be reprinted in Phantoman number 2 in 1940 from Centaur Publications. Funny Pages, Volume 2, Number 11, November 1938, published by Centaur Publications. The Arrow by Paul Gustafson makes its second appearance in this issue. Gerber rates this issue scarce, giving it a rating of 7. Nutty Fagan is a 1-page story written and drawn by Jack Cole under the alias Sassafras. The Arrow is featured in 6 pages, written and drawn by Paul Gustafson. In this superhero adventure tale featuring the Arrow, Dutch Kelly, Elaine Parker, Butts, and Morley. The Arrow rescues the kidnapped grown children of a millionaire from a gang of gamblers who are using their debts to force them to commit crimes. Sheep's Clothing is a 3-page text story written by Pat Allen with art illustrations by Bill Everett in this crime story which features Bob Martin and the villain, the Monk. Jitney Joe is a 1-page story written and drawn by Paul Gustafson. Smart Alec is a 4-page story written and drawn by Jack Cole. Jingle Jingle is a 1-page comic story written and drawn by Paul Gustafson. Cheerio Minstrels is 2 pages from artist Jack Cole, and this features some racist depictions in this strip. Spots is a 1-page story written and drawn by Paul Gustafson, and Gustafson also draws the 5-page strip Egbert. Funny Picture Stories, Volume 2, Number 11, November 1938, published by Centaur Publications. Gerber rates this a 7 or scarce, and Charles Biro presents us with a hair-raising cover. Jack Strand is a 7-page story drawn by Frank Frollo in this early science fiction strip, which is reprinted from Little Giant Comics number 1 from Centaur. Phony Crimes is a 4-page story drawn by Paul Gustafson featuring the character Professor Twiddle. And Little Nemo in Slumberland appears in a 1-page story written and drawn by Bob McKay using the name Windsor McKay Jr. Feature Funnies, number 14, November 1938, published by Quality Comics. This is a football cover drawn by Ed Cronin featuring Ned Brandt. Gallant Knight is a 4-page story written and drawn by Vernon Henkel in this historical tale featuring Sir Neville and comes from the Eisner Eiger shop and is possibly reprinted from the Wags UK. Archie O'Toole is 2 pages from writer-artist Will Eisner under the alias Bud Thomas and features the humor character Gil O'Teen. The Clock Strikes is 5 pages from writer-artist George Brenner in this superhero tale featuring the clock, Captain Kane, also the villain, Commissioner Litz, makes his first appearance, and Mayor Willis dies in this issue. The Clock's secret identity as a playboy and ace criminologist is revealed in this story, and he establishes a relationship with Captain Kane, who speaks to the Clock through a screen door that masks O'Brien's face. This is Eisner Iger shot material and is possibly reprinted from the Wags UK comic. Espionage, starring Black X, is a 4-page story written and drawn by Will Eisner under the alias Will Irwin. And this is a spy story featuring Black X and the first appearances of the villain Jonathan Atcherson. Reynolds of the Mounted is a 4-page story written and drawn by Art Pinagian, a Western frontier story which features the first appearance of the RCMP in comics and the first appearance of the villain The Terror. Lollapalooza is a 4-page story written and drawn by Rube Goldberg and is reprinted from the Frank J. Markey Syndicate. Star Comics number 15, November 1938, published by Centaur Publications. Little Nemo makes an appearance. Speed Silvers is featured by Fred Guardineer, and The Last Pirate by Carl Burgos begins. The cover features Riggin Bill, drawn by Maurice Filchak. Carl Burgos, born Max Finkelstein on April 18, 1916 in New York, lived until March 1, 1984, an American comic book and advertising artist best known for creating the Human Torch in Marvel Comics number 1 in 1939. His earliest works include penciling and inking The Last Pirate, starring Count Rocco and his ship the Emerald Queen in Centaur Publications Star Comics. He created the features Air Sub DX in Centaur's Amazing Mystery Funnies, and Rocky Dawson, and creating the robot hero the Iron Skull in Amazing Man Comics number 5. Burgos and others, including Centaur Publications writer-artist Bill Everett, then followed Centaur art director Lloyd Jacquet to Jacquet's own newly formed packager, Funnies Inc. Publisher Martin Goodman's new Timely Comics released Marvel Comics number 1, October 1939. The landmark issue included the writer-artist Carl Burgos' Human Torch and also Bill Everett's The Submariner. A painted cover by veteran science fiction pulp artist Frank Paul featured the Human Torch. Burgos' character proved a hit and quickly went on to headline one of comics' first single-character titles, The Human Torch. He next created the superhero character The White Streak in Target Comics in 1940, and with writer John Compton, created the superhero The Thunderer in Daring Mystery Comics number 7 in 1941. Feature Books number 19, Mandrake the Magician, November 1938, published by David McKay. This is a 76-page comic, oversized large size, and black and white interior. Mandrake the Magician is featured on the cover, drawn by Phil Davis. And there is 71 pages worth of comic strips of Mandrake the Magician, written by creator Lee Falk and art by Phil Davis, featuring the characters Mandrake and Lothar. And these are reprinted from the Mandrake the Magician newspaper comic strips of 1938. Ace Comics number 20, November 1938, published by David McKay Publications. This issue features a Halloween cover with Pumpkin, featuring the Katzenjammer Kids, with art by Joe Musial in this Humor Child cover. Jungle Jim appears in a 4-page story drawn by Alex Raymond. Blondie appears in 4 pages from artist Chick Young. And The Phantom reappears in 4 pages from writer Lee Falk and art by Ray Moore. Detective Comics number 21, November 1938, published by DC Comics. This issue features the second appearance of the title's first costumed hero, the Crimson Avenger. There's a Mile High pedigree copy of this issue from the Edgar Church collection, and there's a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this book. The cover art is by Leo O'Mealia and features a policeman who is shot. Speed Saunders appears in a 6-page story written by Gardner Fox with art by Fred Guardineer in this detective mystery, and in the strip we even see Speed Saunders reading Detective Comics. The first appearance of Betty Palmer and Philippa Rowan appear in this issue. Larry Steele is a 6-page story written and drawn by Will Eli in his detective mystery, which features the first appearance of the villains Tom Hayworth and Dr. Avery. Spy is an 8-page strip from the team of Siegel and Schuster in their adventure strip, which features the first appearance of the villains Baron von Morndorf and Lorenza Rica. Dr. Fu Manchu is a 4-page story written by Sax Rohmer with art by Leo O'Mealia, and these are strip reprints adapted from the Insidious Dr. Fu Manchu by Sax Rohmer. The Crime in Stone is a 2-page text story written by Gardner Fox under the alias Paul Dean. Bruce Nelson is a 6-page strip, possibly written by Gardner Fox, with art by Tom Hickey. The Crimson Avenger is an early superhero and makes his second appearance in this issue in a 6-page strip written and drawn by Jim Chambers, featuring the characters Miller and Miller's Gang. Steve Malone is a 6-page story written by Gardner Fox and features the villains, the Farini Gang, who make their first appearance. Slam Bradley is a lengthy 13-page story from the team of Siegel and Schuster, who give us the first appearance of the villain Seth. The Funnies, number 26, November 1938, published by Dell Comics. The cover art is by Sheldon Mayer. And Sheldon Mayer also gives us 1 page of Scribbly, which he writes and draws under the alias, his initials, SM. Four Aces is a 2-page story written and drawn by Hal Forrest in this aviation adventure reprinted from the Four Aces Sundays at the Bell Syndicate. The Crime Busters is 4 pages drawn by Alden McWilliams. The Wonderland of Oz is a 2-page story written and drawn by Walt Spouse in this supernatural tale based on the Wizard of Oz, featuring the characters Tip, Jack, Pumpkinhead, Wooden Sawhorse, Scarecrow, and General Ginger. And the Ginger forces invade the Emerald City. Western Trails is a 6-page story written by Norton Parker with art by Richard Rogers. This Western frontier tale is adapted from the Universal Motion Picture. Tip Top Comics, number 31, November 1938, published by United Features Syndicate. Captain and the Kids are featured on the cover. There is a Davis Crippen D-copy pedigree copy of this book, and there is a Rockford pedigree copy. Tarzan appears in 5 pages. Other popular strips include Lil Abner, Jim Hardy, Frankie Doodle, Ella Cinders, and Bronco Bill. King Comics, number 32, November 1938, published by David McKay Publications. Popeye is featured on the cover holding a musical bugle, and we also see Henry. There's a Mile High pedigree copy of this book from the Edgar Church Collection, and there is a Lost Valley pedigree copy of this book. Adventure Comics, number 32, November 1938, published by DC Comics. This is the first issue of this new title from DC. It would go on to become one of the longest-running comic book titles of all time, running for 45 years, ending in 1983. The on-sale date of this issue is October 10th, 1938. The series had been called New Adventure Comics, but has been retitled and shortened to Adventure Comics, starting with number 32. The cover art is by Craig Flessel. Federal Men appear in a 4-page story from the team of Siegel and Schuster. Their detective mystery features the first appearance of the villain Bash for Ellie. Dale Daring is a 4-page story written and drawn by Will Eli. Captain Desmo is 6 pages from writer-artist Ed Winiarski and features the first appearance of the Masked Man, who is Captain Terhune. Dot and Danny is 2-page story written and drawn by Romer. This is the last appearance of this strip featuring Dot and Danny. Ol Ozbop is a 2-page story written and drawn by Russell Cole, and this is the last appearance of this strip. Professor Doolittle is 2 pages from writer-artist Bob Kane in this humor title. Todd Hunter is 4 pages written and drawn by Will Eli. This adventure strip features the characters Todd Hunter and Hassim. Rusty and His Pals is 4 pages from writer-artist Bob Kane. His adventure strip features Rusty and the villain Ichabod Slade. Anchors Away is 6 pages from writer-artist Fred Guardineer. His adventure strip features the villain El Diablo. And This Doggone World is a 1-page story written and drawn by Stockton, and this is the only appearance of this strip. Popular Comics number 34, November 1938, published by Dell Comics. The cover features Mutt. We also get Don Dixon, Skippy, Herky, and Shark Egan. In this issue, we also have strips of Tailspin Tommy and Jack Randall in Man's Country. More Fun Comics number 37, November 1938, published by DC Comics. This is still DC's longest-running comic ever up to this time, and all issues of More Fun are considered scarce to rare according to the Overstreet Price Guide. There's a Mile High pedigree copy of this book. The on-sale date was October 3rd, 1938. The cover art is by Craig Flessel and features kid football player chased by a dog. There is a promo ad for Superman in this issue. The Sports Teacher is a short activity page written and drawn by Sheldon Moldoff. Johnny Law is 4 pages from writer-artist Will Eli featuring the Tiger's Claw Gang. Ginger Snap is 2 pages written and drawn by Bob Kane. Peaconet Pictures is a 1-page cartoon biographical written and drawn by Sheldon Moldoff. Rex Darrell appears in 6 pages written and drawn by Terry Gilkison, featuring Rex Darrell the Flying Fox in his first appearance. Radio Squad is 6 pages from the team of Siegel and Schuster, the detective mystery featuring Sandy Keene and Larry Trent. And Buccaneer is 5 pages written and drawn by Bernard Bailey, featuring the characters Dennis Stone and Captain Cloug. Mickey Mouse Magazine number 38, or Volume 4, number 2, from Western Publishing, November 1938. This issue features the first Huey, Dewey, and Louie cover. Famous Funnies number 52, November 1938, published by Eastern Color. Still the longest-running comic book title ever at this point. Features a Halloween pumpkin cover. The cover is Somebody's Stenog and features the character Sam Smithers with art by Victor Pazmino. Buck Rogers appears in 4 pages from writer Philip Francis Nolan with art by Rick Yeager under the alias Dick Calkins. War and Crime returns in a 2-page story written by Rex Collier, art possibly by Jimmy Thompson. This is the longest-running original crime genre strip. And Jerry Iger under the alias Bob Bliss gives us 1 page of Queenie.